Hey, race fans, and welcome to season 2020, episode 31 of the Pecino Report. This is the podcast that gets past the hype and gets straight down to let you know what's really going on in the MotoGP paddock. Well, episode 31, we thought it was never going to happen, but we've finally got a new world champion. It's Mir time. The Meerkat's done it. He did just enough to get over the line, and what a performance. What a performance. An absolutely amazing weekend of racing we had last weekend. Moto 2 is even going down to the wire as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. So, Andro, you've finally gotten to see a world championship race in MotoGP. How's it feel?
Mate, do you know, I was just Googling what rider is number 31.
Number 31. Who's number 31?
Harada. From Japan.
Tetsuya Harada,
oh, that's why I couldn't understand what it said. No, do you know what? It was Manuel and I were just quickly talking about the race while you were dicking around looking for your headphones. And like the race wasn't that exciting, but that last lap was bloody intense. So we'll talk about that. I learned something this weekend. I learned that the riders' suits go poof 2 times. Because I asked Matt, hey, that was a big deal.
I'm not going there.
Because I was like, just sitting there, I was like, okay, so they fall off and their airbags go off. Sometimes they get back on the bike and you see them walking because their things are going off. And Manuel explained that the air goes out, but it does have another poof in it.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
it has 2 goes in it, does it?
Yeah. Yes, twice. They exploded twice because, yes, that was the problem that if they went back to the bike, so the system was improved. So after the second, it looks like the rider has, okay, enough, go home. You know?
Yeah, and that's it. They're not protected, are they? See, did I teach you something, Stuart?
That's fantastic. You did indeed. I didn't actually know that.
You're very welcome. I also learned something else last night.
Where babies come from.
No. Maybe I should have tried that, actually. I learned not to take cold and flu tablets before you go to bed. Because it stops you sleeping.
It'll do that. And boss, here we are. You've spoken to the world champion. You were down there. I take it.
Oh yes, look, I have to say, in this difficult season, you know, it's that we are not allowed to have a face-to-face with the riders because they are in a kind of.
You'll catch the Rona off of them.
Yeah. Yes, at the end we were the safe ones and they were the infected ones, you know. But we had the chance to talk with the managers and it was so funny. Look, the Davide Brivio arrived in the press room. It was around 10 o'clock in the night, and he was, let's say, happy because he had some specials that day,
celebrations,
and it was so funny how he explained things, you know, behind the scenes. Very, very, very interesting. We had a lot of fun.
Fantastic, absolutely amazing. So yeah, let's kick off. We've got to talk about Mir straight away. That's the headline. Tell me, boss, what do you think of that performance? I think he did just enough on the weekend.
Look, the headline,
world champion.
Stu, the headline for me is so clear. The headline is, let me put you a figure and you will understand it very well. The figure is the following. You know how many laps Franco Morbidelli has leaded in the 3 Grand Prix held so far? How many laps he has been in the lead?
He was 67.
Yeah,
so
70.
Yep.
Wow.
70. You know how many laps the new world championship has leaded?
5.
2.
11.
I was closer.
So 70 to 11. And another figure. He has been in the lead 11 laps, exactly the same as Andrea Dovizioso.
Huh.
Wow.
Mr.
So
consistency, though.
He just led in the right laps, or?
Oh, exactly. It's the thing is to be the fast when it's needed or when it's worth, something like this, you know. The important thing is to be fast when it's necessary, and this is exactly what happened with Mir.
Exactly, that's exactly right. So talk to me. How has he done it then? He's clearly consistent. He's clearly a talented rider, but there's a lot of talented riders out there. How has he done it?
Yes, look, I think that the success in motorsport, I would say, okay, in general, and also in MotoGP, of course, is basically based on 3 columns. Let's call it like this. One is obviously the rider.
Mm-hmm.
A second column is the machine, the tool they use.
Yep.
And the third is the team. It's super important. This is a combination that at the end takes that the rider can win or not win. Okay. But he needs the other two columns to be firm. So I wonder, and now I ask you, how much do you think this is, how do you say,
Split
how much
between the
influence, yes, how much influence has had in Mir's championship, each of these columns?
I think it's a pretty even split. I'd say it's 33%, 33%, 33%. I think it's quite even.
What about the other 1%?
That's down to chocolate bars. Surely everyone knows that. No, I think it's quite an even split. I think the actual the bike itself, and I was talking to some people about this earlier this week. The bike itself, the GSX-RR, has progressed so far this year. It's such an amazing all-round package, and a lot of that is obviously because of the engineers, but because of the team as well. So I think it's a very even split. And other riders, like maybe your Marquez's or your Rossi's, they could potentially have manhandled a team and a bike through to win a championship, which is what we've seen previously. But I think this one, I think it's a very even split between the three. What do you think?
You can tell the team's just such a tight knit, supportive team. Like there was a race, I can't remember when, a couple of weeks back, and Mir must have been up there, and David Abrivio was like, oh no, like he's won, but he went to go see Rins, like that real conscious of looking after. Yeah. Oh no, that's right. And he made a comment, didn't he? He said not to discount how well Alex Rins had ridden or something, like just really conscious of making sure that they're both being supported regardless of who's winning or not.
Indeed. So Manuel, you're going to tell us we're full of crap?
No. I think it all starts with the team. I think, okay, in this part. I don't know if I have explained you on here on our podcast about Davide Brivio negotiating the future of the team when he started. Did I tell you this story?
I think we did have a bit of a conversation about that when we did some Manuel incidents, and when I brought up Davide Brivio. I think we had a good conversation about it. But please,
to make it short, look, when one of the things he was negotiating with Suzuki in Japan was about the overseas flight, right? So Davide said that he wanted all the team travel in the same class than him.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So he said, look, if you want me as the representative of Suzuki travel on business class, my people should travel on business class. If you think they don't worth it, I will travel with them in economy. So he got that all the team travels in business. All the team is the cooker, the one who cleans the tire, everyone. So this shows, so good. This shows which kind of management he does, no? And he said to me, look, we are a family, and like in all families there are problems, because if you have a discussion with your brother, imagine us, many times we work, he called it, in a submarine mode, like all tied together, all with each other. So then he said, problems happen, but the thing is, we have to put these problems on the table, discuss them, and probably they will not get solved, but at least it is spoken.
It's out there. There's no hidden,
And this is what makes that team very strong. Another idea about the absolute key factor that Davide Brivio has been, I tell you, look, Joan Mir, when he wins the World Championship Moto3 in 2017, he switches to Moto2, right? And he was supposed to be one of the favorite riders that season. But internal problems in the team made that his results weren't under what the expectation.
Who was he with then? Who did he ride for?
Mark VDS. Okay. After having won the Moto3 championship, Honda signed a pre-contract with Joan Mir. He was 19 at the time. Yeah, okay. Switching from Moto3 to Moto2, he had already signed the contract. But as his results didn't come out as expected, Honda started to doubt if they would execute that pre-contract.
Right.
So what happened? Davide Brivio detected the potential of Joan. And in Jerez of that year, he had a meeting with Joan. In Jerez, that was the 4th race of the season.
Yeah.
Joan had this option with Honda, but he sat on the table with Suzuki. And I have to say, Ducati also offered him a bike.
Wow.
So the ones who understand this knew perfectly what type of rider was growing, because they see things that we do not. Okay, so they sat at the table. Obviously, it was Joan, his manager, and Davide Brivio. And the way Davide Brivio approached Joan, explaining him that they wanted him to grow with them, that they wanted him to be a Suzuki rider, And the way he approached after the meeting, Joan told to his manager, sign with Suzuki. But Honda, sign with Suzuki. I have it very clear.
Yep.
So it was how he was approached. The Suzuki approach was friendly, family.
Respectful by the sounds of it.
I can imagine in Honda, and you too, you can also like, hey, you are lucky that we are looking to you,
Exactly.
We have the best bike, which they have. We have the most resources, which they have. We can bring you up, but it was a different approach. And Joan with 20, he realized, no, Suzuki, it's where I'm going to be.
Indeed. And I can imagine Ducati would have had a similar approach as well. Oh, you're lucky that we're coming to you because we're so wonderful.
And as a young rider, that would be so appealing. You'd be like, but I can go ride for these big teams.
And Ducati arrived after that meeting in Jerez. Ducati came with an offer, and Joan said to his manager, no, we have given our word to Suzuki and we stay in Suzuki.
Fantastic.
Interesting,
That kind of approach, that's really interesting. That kind of approach very much reminds me, like when you talk about the familial attitude there in the Suzuki team, that stems right from the head, from Davide Brivio all the way through the rest of the team. That reminds me very much of the Sepang racing team as well, with Razali and the kind of mentality that he's brought to that team as well. That's very much a family-oriented, where we're all together in this.
Which is why you have people like John McPhee not going up because he can stay with Petronas in Moto3.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Now you, Andra, you just put the finger in my eye.
Did it hurt?
Which bit, John McPhee or Moto3?
John, look this story. I don't know if I will return from Portugal after explaining you this. If I don't return, you know why.
We know where you are.
John had signed a contract with Petronas to step up into Moto2 after having a certain results at the middle of the season.
Yep. Like this year.
This was on the paper. Look, if you do, I don't remember. 3rd position here, you will be upgraded. And in the middle of the season, it seems that it was the case. So automatically he would have the right to go up. But at a certain point, it was more advanced in the season. He said, look, we cannot execute this because BT Sport prefers to have Jake Dixon. He said, yes. Right. He said, yes, but I have a contract, and Petronas had already signed the 2 Moto2 riders. He said, yes, but we are sorry. So this is how it is, because I don't know if they told him, but I told you, the profile of Jake is a much open guy, for TV he's much more usable, he's funny, he's open, while McPhee is shy, is malapi and this and that, and maybe he's not from the region he should come from, whatever. But the thing is that John goes out and looks for other alternatives, and which at this point where everything was closed. So he had to continue in Moto3. That's why he continued there. And it's not because Petronas is a nice team. Petronas is a business team.
I thought he'd got an offer to go to Moto2 in another team, but he chose not to, like not long ago.
Probably it was a team that wasn't competitive, you know. At the end, he basically was forced to stay where he is.
That's fascinating. That's absolutely amazing.
That's the backstages. That's the backstages. That's
exactly right, and that's what we're here for. We're here to hear all those tidbits for sure. So
I tell you one more of this situation. That look, Nakajima, Tetsuya, Tetsuta. He has lost his ride for next year because
Remy's going to that team, isn't he?
No. Yeah, but he has no ride because they needed a Japanese rider in Moto2, and Ogura is going to step up.
Ogura. Really?
And then, we have already a Japanese.
Yeah.
So you know, there are
not many people are getting actual seats on merit. There's a lot of.
Is it always like this
for the demographic?
Passports are important in this championship.
Yeah.
To have the right passport.
Apparently so.
Is one of the actives you have in this championship.
Which makes sense. I think we've spoken about it before because you've got your sponsors, you've got the countries following, there's too many things.
Television rights.
You know Rodrigo, the Moto3 rider. He is 100% Spanish. He lives in Barcelona. He was born in Barcelona. He grew up in Barcelona, but he has an Argentinian passport. He is registered as an Argentinian rider.
Yeah, for sure. I thought he was Argentinian.
And there is another rider in the Rookies Cup. I think one who is very at the top, leading or whatever. The same. He has double nationality, Colombian and Spanish, and he doesn't. Wow. He probably doesn't know Colombian flag, how it looks like. Yeah, exactly. He races as a Colombian rider, and this is how it works.
Wow, crazy. Okay, we took a bit of a step sideways there. Let's get back to talking about me. Yeah, so we're talking about those three pillars. So yeah, we spoke very clearly about the team. Those other two pillars, what do you think? What kind of influence have they had this year?
The bike is funny because that night, speaking with Brivio, he told us some things under the influence of his happiness. like things like, hey, our mechanics, they make joke about our bike because our bike is the simplest bike, the most simple bike of the grid. Really? It's so basic. We don't have this system to push down the bike, and we have just introduced the starting system, which we introduced, but we really didn't need it. Yeah. And he said, and our mechanics say that it's funny because our bike looks like a street bike. It's so simple. Nice. And they say that it's also built, and Andra, this is very important, it's also built to make it easy to work on it, because on a race bike, everything is so compact that if you don't think on the mechanics when you design the bike, when they have to work on it in a very stressing condition, it's very difficult. Which, for example, happens with Ducati. The Suzuki is a very easy working bike, and this is another characteristic. And I also spoke last weekend with Gintoli, who is the test rider, Suzuki's test rider. You know how many Ks they did on testing last year?
I would
10,000 Ks. 10,000 Ks. And the consequence of this is what the bike they have this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. So there are no mystery, there are no mystery in racing. Yep. So everything in racing is invented. They did 10,000 Ks on the bike. They kept.
That's a lot of data.
It's like the famous make it simple. Make it simple is what took Suzuki to have the most balanced bike.
Perfect. So are we seeing a fast forward into what we might see from KTM next year with the amount of testing and everything and the way they've developed the bike? Is that a similar philosophy, or is that a completely different philosophy?
Yes, I think good. This is well brought, because I tell you something more. KTM is the only brand, apart from Aprilia, which I don't know if they are in the championship or not. Aprilia is the only brand that will be allowed to develop a new engine.
That's right.
So because Yamaha, imagine Yamaha will have to continue with the engine they have.
Yeah.
Suzuki, Honda, and Ducati.
Yep.
So KTM, who already have shown a big step forward this winter, can do the last one to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm making a short parenthesis that I destroy all the scripts that we have before starting. Sorry for that.
We love it when you do that.
Yeah.
Look, Valencia race 1, there were 3 KTMs among the 7 in top 7.
Mm-hmm.
In the second race, 3 KTM in the top 6.
Yep.
You know, and Binder, Oliveira, they are pushing. They are really, I'm looking forward with Binder, with experience, with Oliveira on the side of Brett, who is a rival that pushes him up.
Yep.
You know, it will be so interesting. KTM will be, there are much expectation on KTM for next year. Yes.
I think so. Yeah. And so, okay. So the last point, Mir, the rider, the final pillar.
You tell us, Stu,
Mir.
what's good about Mir?
Consistent.
Look, yeah.
He's a metronome. Did you see those lap times, especially from the first race in Valencia? They were within. He was not quite as consistent as Frankie, but he was almost. They were within 2 or 3 tenths every single lap for the entire race. It was absolutely incredible.
Well, I'm sure, and I think he said it after the race, that it was the longest race of his life, last one.
I can imagine.
You can look, and he had a crash. I think he has crashed before the crash in Valencia. He did crash in the whole season 4 times.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Twice in racing, and 2 in another 2 in practice. So the crash in Valencia showed clearly that he was so under pressure, so nervous, you know. And imagine how he felt that weekend.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, he obviously knew what he was doing on the weekend. He started 12th and finished 7th because he only finished 7th because a couple of riders crashed in front of him. But he must have been getting some really good information. I didn't notice his pit board. I might go back and have a look see if I can see his pit board throughout the race to see the kind of information the team was giving him, because I think they must have had some really long, hard conversations before the race saying, look, if such and such is here, you need to be here. This is where you need to be. So I think he knew where he needed to finish, didn't he?
I think so, because when Morbidelli went away in the front, it was clear he had to finish in top 10. Yeah. Then he had some help from riders crashing in the front and that. And I was so scared because he was riding behind Aleix Espargaró.
That's right, he was too, yeah.
Who is like a mine in front of you, you know, one of these. But at the end, everything went well out, and then it was a huge party. Luckily, we have known his mother as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mir mother.
Was his mum that beautiful lady that hugged? I was like, I said to Adam, I went, that's his girlfriend. I went, no, I think it's his mum.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
I think,
and he's a baby, so yeah.
I don't know if it was the best of the weekend.
Yeah. That was your favorite bit of the weekend. Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Jones' mum.
Yep, yeah, that'd be right. Yeah, Jones' mum. So yeah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we have it. So there's Joan Mir, an amazing performance, not just by him, but by the team, by the factory as well, to deliver such an amazing product. That's why he's won the World Championship this year, is because all 3 of those pillars were rock solid all year. The riders had the consistency throughout the year. The team has been right behind. They're a very close-knit unit, and the factory has given them a bike that is simple, it's fast, it handles, it does really, really well. I think that probably sums it up. It is a team effort, really, isn't it? This
year? Yeah. And in this case, I agree with you 100%. I think we should give, with the permission of Andra, 33% to each of them. The other percent.
Lucky I'm bad at maths.
Yeah.
My question is, do I put a Suzuki sticker on my new Honda car?
Oh, that'd be hilarious. That would be brilliant.
I've got some coming in the post. I bought like 20 stickers of all these different riders.
You have to be very practical. Put these stickers you can take off very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't marry with any brand. You just
take off the Honda badge off the front.
I'm getting a VR46 turtle sticker.
Nice.
There's heaps of them coming through.
Fantastic. Hey, something I found out the other day as well. I completely forgot. I didn't realise that 2017, when Joan Mir won the Moto3 World Championship, I was at Phillip Island, and I think that might actually have been the first time that we met Manuel, quite possibly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that weekend I was there. Some of the people that were there with us was my brother and his eldest son, and I was talking to his eldest son yesterday, and he said to me, "Oh, you'd be really happy." I said, "What is that?" He said, "You remember in 2017 when that guy won the World Championship Moto3, and you said, look out, within a couple of years, that guy will be MotoGP World Champion." And I was like, "Did I say that?" He said, "Apparently you did."
Own it, Stu. Own it. That's 3 years. Is that pretty impressive to go from?
That is amazingly impressive.
That is incredible.
That. I mean, that's Marquez territory, realistically. But I mean,
Who's Marquez?
Yeah, exactly. Nah, Marquez.
Yeah, who is Marquez?
Indeed.
Who is Marquez? Who is Valentino?
That's right. And that was actually something else that came out this week. That was a really good comment that I heard from Mir on one of the interviews that he did, when someone said, "Oh, what do you say about the people that are trying to take away the importance of this World Championship for you, saying you only won it because Marquez isn't here?" I've been hearing the same sort of thing as well from a few people around the place, and the way he responded to that was absolutely perfect. I think he turned around and said something like, "Well, it's not as if he was kidnapped. You know, it's not like it's not fair that they've taken him away against his will and kidnapped him.
Mm-hmm.
He was there on the first race just like the rest of us. He was riding for the World Championship just like the rest of us. He made a mistake.
He didn't make it to the end.
The ability to challenge for the title.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to say that this World Championship is not as important or real, then go back through history and have a look. Whenever a favourite is crashed, then whoever became world champion that year, that's not important or real as well. So I think that was a good comment.
Yeah, look, and I have to tell you something. This first is unfair, is stupid, is, to say that he doesn't deserve. This championship has been so stressing. We have seen one mistake. Every has been paid so high, and for example, the other day they were interviewing Paul Espargaro, and he was saying, "I am mentally exhausted because everything, all these comments that I'm going to Honda, all these races one after another, everybody asking me why I am leaving KTM now." This is one question. Today, just a few minutes ago, I just got, they have been told that Jorge Martin on the Moto2 has some broken ribs.
How?
Really?
Yes, and he's riding with his brake, and he's not telling anybody because he doesn't want to
hurt himself.
Be stopped. And it has been such a stressing and tough championship to say that he doesn't deserve it. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, good on him. It's absolutely amazing. I think it's very well deserved. I think it's an absolutely fantastic championship for him. So let's look at the other side of the coin for a second, if we can, Manuel. Let's look at Yamaha and specifically Quartararo as well. What's going on at Yamaha? What is happening there?
Look, guys, I have been here, I don't know, 25 years following MotoGP. Every race, every circuit. I can't answer that question. I just can't, because I don't understand what's going on. Because what? Look, the Yamahas have won 7 out of 13 races. It's more than 50%.
Yeah.
More than 50%. And last Sunday, we have seen all the riders criticizing harsh Yamaha. but so rude, so harsh. And hey, you have won 7,
So
more
what?
than half of the races.
It's almost, I think there was a comment about the bikes. It was like, oh, are the 2020 bikes really bad and the 2019 bikes awesome? And that's why Frankie's doing so well. Like I think we spoke about it last week.
Again, Andra, for 2020, Yamaha have won races this year.
True. Yeah. Yep.
Joan Mir has won 1 race. And yeah, so I don't know. For me, I can't understand this, because I did another absolutely crazy article I am writing, and this is absolutely freak. You know what I did? I did a Saturday World Championship.
Oh, cool.
So I put the same points that they get for the race on the practice sessions.
Interesting.
To see who is the Saturday world champion. And again, the figures are amazing. It was like building up the Chinese wall. It took me hours and hours of non-sleeping. So the number 1 by far is Morbidelli or Quartararo. Well, the first 3 are Morbidelli, Quartararo, and Viñales.
Yep.
In this Saturday World Championship. The Mir is number 6.
Oh, jeez.
So again,
is it mental then? Is it in their head? Is there something that switches between?
I don't know, but you can see when the Yamaha has no bikes in front of them, that is in practice, they are by far the fastest. The same way, if you think how the races that Yamaha won, how was the race? If I don't have too much memory, but I think that it was always kind of starting in the front and escaping, or starting second, overtaking and escaping.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of big battles going on for the lead for entire races. Whenever that happens, the Yamaha's just...
Exactly. So when they have clearly a bike that is not cannot perform when it's surrounded by other bikes. Hang on,
it's the rider then, isn't it? It's the rider, not the bike.
Oh, it's the bike. The bike works only in a certain condition.
Yep.
When
narrow window when it's
exactly
in front of it.
When the conditions are not the best, then they struggle. Look, let me tell you, I have here the top speeds of Valencia, right? The 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 fastest bikes were obviously the Ducatis.
Yeah.
Okay. Average speed. Average. It's not just the top speed. It's taking the 5 top speeds and then do an average. Andrea Dovizioso, 332 Ks. The second slowest was Franco Morbidelli's. I repeat, Ducati 332.
Yeah.
Morbidelli 320. 12 kilometers.
12 kilometers an hour difference.
Down. Yeah. And he won the race.
Wow.
Because he could push to his maximum the good part of the Yamaha.
Explain to me then the difference between how, because as soon as you say that, I just go, oh, well, it's the rider. They obviously don't perform as well once there's everyone around them, but you're saying it's the bike. Can you explain it to me why?
Yeah, look, the philosophy of Yamaha is the following. Ducati and Honda follow the philosophy that if I have the bike who is fastest, I can overtake on the straights. I don't need to risk. I just overtake on the straights. Okay.
Sorry.
Hang on. I overtake on the straights.
Jack Miller's comment. That was Jack Miller's comment. On the last lap, his plan was just to sail past the Yamaha and disappear into the distance. That was his whole game.
Yeah. Look, and if you can't overtake on the straight, at least you can arrive at the breaking point at the same height as the other one. And then if you have a bike that is fast and stable on the brakes, that's the philosophy of Yamaha, of Ducati, and Honda. What says Yamaha? Yamaha says, hang on, how many straights do you have in a circuit? Maximum 2, 3 maximum. How many corners do you have in a circuit? 18, 15 corners. So our bike, if you have 18 chances to be fast, it's
in theory it
easier.
Makes sense.
Yes, but at the end, the problem is that you overtake on the straights and on the braking points and not on the corners. And the Yamaha isn't fast enough to arrive at the braking points and be able to overtake. Basically, this is the whole concept. Then there are a lot of details, but these two concepts are the one who rules in the championship. The Yamaha concept is followed also by Suzuki, right? But Suzuki has the engine strong enough to be capable to challenge the big V4s that are very fast. Exactly. So basically, this is the ABC of the story.
Nice. And Quartararo, talking specifically about Quartararo, so is it, he was saying that he hasn't had good feeling on the bike since France. Is that, look, that's mental, surely. Surely that's a mental issue. He's succumbed to the pressure.
Yeah, if we go through the 4 Yamaha riders, each of them has a story. Starting with Quartararo, we just have to look at the last 4 races. Remember the 2 in Aragon? Yep. He did very bad. And since Le Mans, Quartararo was saying that Valencia was kind of his hidden card for the last part of the season. Yeah. He said he thought that because Valencia was one of his favorite scenarios. So he always was thinking, when I get in Valencia, it will be my time. So the frustration when he arrived in Valencia and saw that it didn't work like he expected was what has melted this iceberg, because basically he has melted under the pressure of mental pressure.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like he had those couple of wins and he was like, yep, championships are mine. And he seemed to get really sure that it was going to happen. And it seems like he got a bit ahead of himself and then couldn't handle the pressure. And I don't know, he just kind of went to pieces a bit.
Look, I tell you something that I think the big expectations take to the big frustrations.
Yeah.
If you expect something big and it doesn't happen, then the frustration is as big as the expectations you had. Yeah. And here I bring up a sentence that I have read several times, but sometimes the Wayne Rainey biography. Andra, Wayne Rainey was a super champion in the end. Okay. And he said, and this I have always in my mind, he said, look, when I won a race, I had a party on Sunday. On Monday, I started thinking, the next race will be the most difficult race of my life. And I prepare myself for that. And this is the mentality. If you think, now I'm going to go there and everything will be easy, it's never easy.
Day at a time. Race at a time.
Yeah, and race it and be prepared for the worst. If you are prepared for the worst, you can face it if it comes. If you are not, if you think, wow, here I'm going to go there and I'm going to be the tough guy, and it doesn't come, first you have the frustration and then you have to start to think how to get over it. But if you arrive there ready, you gain a lot of time.
Yep, makes sense.
Question for you, Manuel. Does Fabio Quartararo have a mental coach?
Well, yes, because I think that when he won his 3rd race, he said that after the races before, he had to go to a psychologist to get some support, Yeah. But look, everything has been this season so compact. They had no time to even on working on it. They because it takes time. Look, Eugenio Lizama. Remember Eugenio Lizama, the one we did a podcast that never came out because we forgot to record it. We were so brilliant.
We recorded it, just disappeared into. It's up there in the ether somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I spoke with Eugenio Lizama, who is Dovizioso neuropsychologist. And explained to me, look, the problem of Dovi is now that he is angry with Ducati because how he has been treated. Okay. And he said to me, but anger isn't a bad thing by itself. He said, it depends how you canalize you,
switch that energy.
That energy can go against you and frustrate you or help you to push up. And he said, Dovi has to learn in these moments that he should use that anger to go up, and he was not capable. This has pushed him down. Even having a mental coach that has worked with him, but at the end, it's Dovi's brain.
Yeah, we're all still human, indeed. Okay, moving from Quartararo, Morbidelli. Let's talk a bit about Morbidelli.
Morbidelli is, I think,
yeah.
Look, the same way Quartararo started from plus and finished in minus. Morbidelli is the other side, right? He has been growing. He's fast. I think he has a lot of talent. Yesterday night, I was talking with a coach of the VR46 Academy. And he told me that of all the students they have or alumni, or Morbidelli is the most talented. The thing is that he needs to be more, how do you say, stable. You know, he can't do what he did in Aragon first, then 8th in Valencia and first in the second race. So somebody who fights for a championship, his worst result has to be maximum 4th once in a while. But his line is going up.
Yeah, definitely. So do you think we'll see him be a genuine championship contender next year?
Yes, 100%.
He's focused. Yeah. He's in there.
Nice.
Yeah, and he has behind him a strong team. The team is very strong. What is missing is the number 3, the bike. But they compensate it. In this case, it's clearly those two are have much more influence than number 3.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so shifting over to the factory Yamaha team, Vinales, Mr. Saturday himself.
He's hot and cold.
Vinales, you can't say that he started positive and finished low, but you can't say that he started low and finished strong. So it's really with Vinales. Vinales is in the Vinales universe.
He's having a bit of a mid MotoGP crisis or something. You don't know what you're going to get each week.
Yeah. He lives in his own universe. You don't know. And
Stu, are you looking at the picture I sent of Mia's mum?
I was looking at it before. Jeez. I'm not going to stand up for a while.
Everyone needs to Google it. I just sent a picture to the guys of Mia's mum.
I do believe I've got the vapors.
Having your own personal summer there, Stu.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vinales has still managed to finish ahead of Morbidelli in the World Championship so far. There's only 4 points in it. But
so far.
Yeah, so far. But I suppose, if we think back to the to the beginning of the season as well, Morbidelli was really off the boil, wasn't he? He had a few DNFs.
And look, Stu, when we arrive at this point of the season and you look back, you see how much a mistake was, how expensive was a mistake. And then I thought, look, Morbidelli, for example, he broke an engine in Jerez. That wasn't his fault. He was knocked down by Zarco in Austria.
Oh, yeah.
So these were mistakes that he did. It was not his fault. Because if you look at Alex Rins, who is another contender for the championship, he had also 2 big mistakes, but these were his faults: the crash in Austria and the crash in Le Mans.
That's right, yeah.
So Rins is in the position where he deserves because he did the mistakes.
Yeah.
While Morbidelli was just caught.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay.
Zarko took himself out this week.
Yeah, did a good job, didn't he? Bad time there was no one else around him. Indeed. And Rossi, the last one.
Rossi.
What is it to say? He's had a great year. He's been flying jets with models in there and stuff and doing all sorts of things.
I'm worried he's going to just slowly disappear instead of getting the big farewell that he deserves. I feel like he's going to just drift off.
Bravo, Andra, bravo. Look, the question is, 1 year ago, everybody was asking, what would have happened? What will happen with MotoGP when Valentino retires?
Yep.
Wow.
It'll be over. No one will watch anymore.
MotoGP will disappear. Does anybody ask this today?
No.
If he leaves tomorrow,
horrible.
If he leaves tomorrow, would anybody notice it? I mean, racing way? No. Because even, look, it sounds cruel, but even if Marquez would not return, we have the show.
We don't need him. Yeah, exactly. It's on.
The next generation has shown us that the show is as good or better than it ever was.
Yeah, look, the ones who follow racing because of a certain person, of a certain sticker, let's say. For them, it may be a drama. But for the ones who follow racing because we like racing and the emotion of racing, has there been a better year than this year? No.
I'm nervous of what's to come because, like, you know, what you guys have told me previous to this, I reckon it'd be boring as shit watching the same person win every week. That's why I don't watch F1, right?
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of people have been saying that over the last, 8 years. And realistically, when Rossi was winning however many in a row as well, it was a case of the same person was always winning. If you don't follow that person, I'm not really interested. But now
you want it to be a competition and have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, look, we have seen names like Binder arrive from nowhere, Oliveira, Jack is growing, we have Morbidelli, we have Mir. Wow, it can't be better like that.
Yeah, Iker Lecuona. We're talking about Iker Lecuona.
Iker Lecuona.
Yeah.
And I tell you more, look, for me, seeing Rossi qualifying 12th, for heaven's sake, no, por favor. Yeah. Look, it's a shame. Look, the only rider who retires well from the one I have seen was Casey Stoner.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, Lorenzo, we did see how he retired. Disaster year. We have seen at the end, Pedrosa also left, disaster. Casey was the only one who left being at the top. Yeah. That's why every time Casey opened his mouth, everybody wants to listen what he says.
Yeah.
He went on his own terms. Like,
didn't he what?
And look, because the other Lorenzo, Casey went away and he was like, no, why do you leave? Why do you leave? And is it because I want to fish?
Go on fishing.
I want to go fishing. So that's the difference, and Valentino should have left in 2015 after that season, l'affair with Marc Marquez. He would have been at the top. He would have left like a god, now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they could be like, he never would have beaten him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And really, it hasn't been fair to Marquez either, realistically, for him to be hanging around all the time too. So, indeed. So before we wrap up, we've got to get pretty close to wrapping up soon. But before we do, let's have a bit of a look at Honda. Like at the beginning of the year, the first race, it was a case of, here we go again. It's going to be another Honda Marquez dominant year. And then as soon as Mr. M Marquez isn't on the bike, as soon as it's only Mr. A Marquez on the bike, we saw that it's a bike that's designed for one person and one person only, and they just struggled for the entire year. But these last couple of races, there's been some shining lights. Taka especially, Taka's been not just up there, but he's been consistent as well. And now Alex is starting to put some good performances as well. Can they take some positives out of this year for next year, Manuel?
Yes, I am absolutely convinced that in this dark Honda year, they have done 1 or 2 or 3 steps forwards. It sounds like a contradiction, but there are clear signs that show it. The bike is working now with different rider, and this is super positive. And we will see what will mean the arrival of Paul Espargaró in Honda next year. But going back to A. Marquez, it's very, this is again one lesson. Andra, look, when Alex Marquez won in Aragon, again, wow, Alex Marquez, he's there. His brother has a new rival. What happens since then? He has crashed on every race because he got overexcited, you know? And it happens something similar to what is happening to Nakagami. I think I explained you that when the rider needs to go to certain phases, right? It's very different to race in the middle of the group that race for the podium. The racing is different. Among other things, because the level of the tops are higher than the level of the ones who are in the middle of the package, because they are on the top. So when you race in the middle, when you get there, the margin you have to think is much slower, much tighter. What happened to Nakagami? Nakagami crashed in Motorland because he was overexcited. In Valencia 1, he was too conservative and he attacked. It was too late. And here again, he said, now I learned the lesson. And he attacked again too early. So he needs to understand how to race in the front. The crash he had in Valencia, it was a rookie's crash, you know? What that crash, I could perfectly understand that he got a slap in the head when he arrived in the box, because that was a junior crash, you know? But because he's still looking, he's trying to understand the tempos, the timing of how to race in the front. But Nakagami is strong. Honda is looking good. I think it has been, all in all, with all respect for Mark, a positive season for Honda.
And I think Alex has done amazing considering he's a rookie and he's on that bike straight up. I think he's doing bloody incredible.
He's doing much better than anyone expected. And again, he's also learning. When he raced in Motorland and did that second, I think that he also said, wow, now I am there. And now the reality is putting him back to the reality.
But it's like it's opened it up for him. He's not just sitting as the younger brother and, you know, you can't achieve this. It's opened it all up for him. So he's got a lot of growth to go, but it's not, I don't know. I feel like he's going to do good.
He really earned the respect of everyone. You know, he's not the brother of.
Because that'd be hard growing up in that shadow. Yes. God, that'd be shit.
Can we just talk about the wonderful amount of air that he got when he high-sided that thing? That was ridiculous. Like, I was winded just watching him hit the ground.
Look, imagine these crashes in the past without the airbags.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they go as fast though?
No, the
bikes get faster, but still spit you the same.
The floor is the same hard as it was.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't matter if you're doing 180 or 160. That tarmac is still tarmac indeed.
So
perfect.
I'm sad because it's the last race of the year, but I'm excited because I've been hanging out for this one, being a track that they haven't raced on in a very long time. And I know we've spoken about this is going to be the track that's going to highlight the really talented riders from the other riders. There's no championship on the line anymore. So is this going to be completely different?
Somebody told me that a funny way to describe the Portimao is an absurd circuit because it's a fantastic roller coaster. And because on TV you don't see very much, how do you say, the height, no? It's just two dimensions. If you could see how the entrance on the straight is, it's downhill. So that you have a lot of weight on the front, you know, turning downhill. That is for real men. That's for real men.
It's a circuit for real. Man.
Let's see how Fabio goes.
Uh-huh.
I reckon I think Frankie's gonna just go hard to the end.
I am really so curious to see, because I tell you, this is a track. If a rider arrives at the end of the season with the mentality, okay, end of the season, I don't want to get hurt. I want to have a nice winter.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but there's still a lot to ride for, though. There's still the Constructors' Championship. I mean, realistically, Yamaha are not going to win it. Yamaha are on 188.
Could it be Suzuki?
Suzuki and Ducati are on equal points.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes,
so realistically, the Suzukis just need to make sure that they're in front of a Ducati all the time. So if you can have a really good performance from someone like a Jack Miller, and he's up there in a podium place, then whichever Suzuki's behind him, Rins or Mia, they're going to have to make sure that they try and get past him over that finish line.
Sounds like Suzuki will be better.
Championship.
Suzuki will be better on this track by the sounds of it, though, with all the.
I think so.
Ducati.
It's not a track that you can. The track is so crazy, that you cannot explore the potential of the engine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
a rat race.
Look. Instead of putting wings on the fairing, they should to put some big balls on another place,
Yeah, indeed.
Whoever wins get the big balls trophy.
Yeah. Just
all right.
That comment about the constructors, I think it's really telling to show how sharply Yamaha have dropped off a cliff. When you say they've won 7 races, more than anyone else this year, and they're not going to win the Constructors' Championship. That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
And tell me something, that Ducati is fighting for that championship.
Yeah,
for heaven's sake. No, come on. And I'll tell you something more. If it will depend, luckily that Ducati has Jack, because if it depended on Dovizioso, for purpose he would make Ducati not win that championship.
Yeah.
So how do they win that? Because obviously you're going to have your rider that wins a championship, which is going to have a lot of influence on that. Mm-hmm. Does it depend on the other rider then? It's like a combined who's done best?
No, the Constructors' Championship, every weekend, each bike from each constructor that finishes the highest gets that amount of points. So it doesn't matter if you've got 4 or 5 or 10 Yamahas. It's only the Yamaha that finished highest. So, like for example, last week Frankie won, and so Yamaha got 25 points for that race.
Exactly.
Didn't matter that you had Quattararo and Vinales, and they just get one allocation of points.
Okay.
So that's how.
Oh, so it's not the rider, because you've got okay.
No, it's just the highest finishing bike.
I only learnt about this constructor championship today. I was
all
today
right.
old.
Before leaving, let me tell you something. I want and I have to underline is the last lap between Jack and
Frankie
and Franco and Morbido. I like to call him Morbido. And Morbido.
Yeah.
That was, look, they showed something that for me was like the best of the weekend. They showed something that 2 riders can fight to the death.
Yeah.
Being clean and fair to each other, clean,
like gentlemen.
Clean is the word, because there was no fairing touches, there were no elbows, and it was such a exciting. And this is a message. I see it as a message. Probably nobody else does. To certain riders that installed in this championship the dirty racing, and this started with the sticker you have on your car, Andra. The one who introduced elbow racing and get out of my way racing was Valentino.
Staccato in Facce, I think they call it. I think you were saying,
And then there's Fanardi.
No. But look, it was Valentino with Sete Gibernau. It was Valentino with Casey Stoner. And, and then what happened? Marc Marquez saw when he was a kid, Valentino doing this, and Marc's mentality said, if he does it, I do it double.
Yep.
And what has happened? All these kids that are in the Rookies Cup in Moto3, they have seen
Moto3.
The big man, the big champion that is Valentino, doing these kind of things and being glorified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly,
then,
you
as you
know,
say, and
and
then
what
Marquez
happens,
has picked it up, and Marquez has kept doing it and continued to be glorified.
they think that racing, that this is part of racing, you know, and that's why I was so really emotion when I saw it. Might sound stupid, but for me was, wow, there is another way, you know, there is the right way of racing still there.
Indeed.
And even for me as a rookie watcher, it stood out for me just how it was a real sportsmanship, respectful, but
Yeah, the
edgy
return
of your
of
seat stuff.
You don't need to push the rider out of the track. You don't need to block overpassing. No,
Yeah.
that was so clean,
Yep.
so fantastic.
It was.
That's
It
it.
was. It was beautiful to watch. It really was. And I think if it was anyone else apart from Frankie, I think Jack probably would have won that. But Frankie last week was.
Look,
just
I tell you something. Your Aussie riders, they have one characteristic. You ride, I mean you, no
Big
Stu,
balls.
and Andra also not. But the Aussies, they ride very aggressively. They ride so, you know, fight with the bikes. They are so spectacular to watch, but they are clean.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been. Look, Mick has clean. Casey has been clean. Jack is clean. It's down to the philosophy how you race. How they grow up, in the racing, you know.
It's
And
almost like
there are other
that
riders.
honest.
Yeah, no, sobre todo clean, they're respectful, you know.
Yeah.
They want to win more than anybody else, but there is a certain
right
line,
way.
a certain line that cannot be crossed.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Nicky Hayden was another one like that. That reminds me of that.
yeah, Nicky was clean. Look, there are other riders. Have you ever heard somebody complaining about Viñales? No. Did anybody complain about Pedrosa? No. Did anybody complain about Dovizioso? No. There were these two guys, 93 and 46, who brought this to the racing.
That's it. They did it themselves. Indeed. Okay, look, we're going to wrap it up there, I think. Before we do, I just very quickly want to say, I know he's not in with a very good chance, but it's only 6 points. Come on, Sam in Moto 2. He's injured. He's not doing very well. And he had the grittiest ride to collect 2 points last week. He really did. But the beast, Bastianini, looks like he's going to take the Moto 2 World Championship this weekend. But I'd love to see Sam get up. That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. We all do. We all do, yes.
Yeah, indeed.
I love that it's coming down to the last race. And Moto 3, I'm loving Moto 3.
Yes. Yeah.
That shit's crazy.
I know. Tony Arbolino, a lot bam boom.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Indeed.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Go,
All
Sam.
right,
Go, Sam. We are with you.
Indeed. Go, Sam. Go. Do it. Or Alex. Just put Alex on the bike. That's what we should have done last weekend. Indeed. All right. It's been wonderful. Andra, where can they find us?
Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and on all the podcast platforms.
Exactly.
And in Brisbane and in Adelaide and in Madrid.
That's right. You can find us all over the place. all of your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, all of those as well. It's a vodcast. It's a podcast. Give us a like. Give us hit the notification bell so you make sure you get notified when new videos come out. Share the content if you like it. Send us emails. Tell us we're full of crap. Manuel, where can they hear these amazing, crazy stories from you?
Pecino GP, like always. Andra, you should give me access to our Facebook.
Okay.
Because maybe I do some live while I am riding down to Portimao.
Okay.
There you go, guys. You heard it there first.
And when are you writing your story about the numbers from 1 to blah blah blah?
1 to 100.
1 to 100.
Yeah. When the season finishes, I think it's a good story for Christmas, for example. Yes. Christmas story. Let's call it Christmas story.
Yeah. Why not?
Brilliant. So yeah, we will indeed. So we're going to get this. It's what is it? It's Tuesday at the moment. So we're going to get this thing edited and put out there as quickly as possible because I think Manuel's going to be heading off to Portimao in the next couple of hours. So we'll get it uploaded. So if you're listening to this and it's just come out, then get yourself over to Facebook and you never know, you might see Manuel on his bike giving you an update on Facebook Live.
Or me as mum.
I want to finish my year, this horrible year, in a normal way, riding to a Grand Prix on my bike like I used to do. So
You
This
ride
to-
safely.
This is for COVID.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
You
Give it
ride
to 'em.
safely, Manuel, and we'll catch you on the other
Thank you.
side.
Brilliant.
I
Ride
will,
safe,
I
stay
will.
upright. And the same to all you guys out there in podcast land. Stay upright, ride safe, love the MotoGP. Go the Meerkat.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.